Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Dhena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Good morning, everyone. Hare Krishna. It's important to come together to discuss ways in which we can expand the Sankirtan movement. This was the kind of work that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did with his followers and disciples. They would get together. Perfect. And discuss ways that they could do good for all people. In fact, even at the beginning of the Bhagavatam, we find Naimasaranya. The sages got together, and when they met with Shaunaka and Sutta Goswami, and the question was how to do the greatest good for the people in general, for all living entities. This is the preoccupation of great souls, Mahatmas, because their hearts are forgiving for giving to others. And it's a worthy cause to come together and talk about ways in which to give others Krishna consciousness. Because this is the real purpose of the material creation. Krishna makes this world as a concession for living entities who would like to enjoy separately, but his real purpose behind the Shrishti Leela, the reason that he expands the worlds, is to give facility to everyone to go back home, back to Godhead. With every breath, he expands the entire material creation. Yashaika nishvasita kala matavalamya jivanti loma vilaja jaganandanata Vishnur mahansa iha yasakala vishesho govindamari purusham tamaham vajami. And with one inhalation, it's all annihilated. That all takes place within approximately 311 trillion years. And during that time, there are millions of manifestations of Brahmas and all kinds of Manvantars and so forth. Actually, it's one lifetime of Brahma when he exhales and then he inhales 311 trillion plus years. And it's mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam that after the material world has been available for some time to the living entities, just before destruction, Sankarshana becomes slightly annoyed that although he's given facility for living entities to go back to Godhead, in various ways he extends himself throughout the material world, not the least of which is to be there within everyone's heart, and then through the Vedic literatures, Ganges, great souls wandering the world, and then the living entities don't take it. So he becomes angry, a little angry, and from his eyebrows the Rudras pop out. They begin their dance of destruction to burn down the material world once again, but then he recreates the whole thing. And in this Leela, he's giving the opportunity for the conditioned souls to come back to Godhead. So this is the purpose of the material world. So if one can align oneself with this purpose of the Lord while one's in this material world, then this is the best of all circumstances. So understanding this, that the purpose of life is to take the Lord's mercy by following his instructions through his representatives, through his channels in this world, and then giving that to others. If one can do that, then one's life will be perfect. On the practical side, one of the ways in which the devotees have been successful in recent years in expanding book distribution, which we talked about last night, as one of the most efficient means to spread the holy names all over the world. The Srimad Bhagavatam is panacea. It's mentioned in the fifth chapter of the first canto Tadvag visargo janataga viplavo yasmin pratishlokam abadyavatyapi namanyanantasya yashon kitani yat srinvanti gayanti grinanti sadavaha. That this Srimad Bhagavatam is not ordinary creation. It comes from another world. And it is meant to create a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. It's heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. And also mentioned that the Srimad Bhagavatam was compiled by Srila Vyasadeva for the masses of people in the Kali Yuga. He did that after he got instruction from Sri Narada Muni. He said, be a little more direct in your preaching. You have to tell about Krishna. Otherwise people won't become attracted, and they'll still hang on to the Vedic regulations and think that they can take the sense gratification in a regulated Vedic way. He said they won't come out of the atmosphere of the material world like that. So the Bhagavatam is the answer. And so we have the delivery system through the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, to give people the holy names in a very permanent way. Books stay around for a long time. Books are the means through which one can transport the culture of Krishna consciousness across time and geography. So the monthly Sankirtan festival is a good excuse to get together to do this. Monthly Sankirtan festival is a time once a month when we invite everyone in the community to come together to focus on book distribution, Harinam, and transcendental prasadam distribution. This statement at the bottom is very important. Sankirtan is for everyone, because there is a point at which in our ISKCON movement we concentrated on divisions of labor. Such and such is a cook, somebody else is a book distributor, somebody else is a Brajari. But actually everyone's a Sankirtan devotee, because it's the Sankirtan movement, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Am I correct about that? Yes. Only 2 people confirm. Yes. Oh, all right. Okay. Yeah, I thought so. I've heard this many times, Sankirtan movement. Is anybody in the movement is a Sankirtan devotee? It's for everyone. And it's important for everyone, cooks, Brajaris, children, old people who are about to die. Everyone should go on Sankirtan because it's high sadhana. And just the act of going out the door is a heroic act, and one feels it directly. Living in one's comfort zone is no fun, actually. And when one lives outside one's comfort zone for a higher cause, one makes advancement very rapidly. So I like to say that we should feel uncomfortable when we're in our comfort zone, and we should feel comfort when we're outside our comfort zone. Take comfort in being outside your comfort zone. Lord Rishabhadeva said, Nayam deho deha bhajram loke kashtan kama marahate vidpujamye tapo divyam putraka yena sattvam shudyad yasmad brahma saukyam tonantam. That if you perform tapo divyam, to divine austerity, then you'll come to a permanent position of happiness that will never diminish. And this is the real tapasya for the age of Kali Yuga. The tapa means to take it upon oneself to engage in Sankirtan. And especially, Prabhupada favored going out to meet people and give them an opportunity to read Krishna literature. He says in several places in his purports, this is the focus of the Krishna consciousness movement, to give this literature to people. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said the same thing, and that's where Srila Prabhupada got it, from his spiritual master. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told all the inmates of his ashram that they should go out every day. He told sannyasis, you should go out every day and knock at least 3 doors. And in that he said, by going outside your comfort zone, even being rejected or misunderstood, he said you'll get spiritual blood. You have a spiritual body. To maintain your spiritual body, you need spiritual blood. And he said you'll get that by going out to give Krishna consciousness to others who don't know about it, who will then misunderstand you and maybe ignore you. So know that when you go out the door, Sankirtan is a transcendental activity, it's a nourishing activity, and it's very pleasing to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His representatives. So we call this MSF. Everyone say MSF. What is it? It's a fun, organized outing which involves everyone in sharing Krishna's mercy. Everyone can say this. Fun, organized outing which involves everyone in sharing Krishna's mercy. Looks like we've emphasized the words here that are important. Should be fun, because actually there's no more fun than book distribution. Once you get out, and you'll notice that devotees who do book distribution become addicted to it, because living entities just want to have fun. They're known as anandamayo bhyasat. They're fun seekers. And the real fun in life is tapasya, and the best tapasya is going out on Sankirtan. And so, also there's ways in which to make it fun, so everyone wants to come out. For instance, devotees working together will make nice prasadam. They'll arrange easy places for the devotees to go on book distribution for a couple hours or a few minutes, whatever they choose. And also afterwards, devotees can meet together in a park and have a picnic. They can go to the forest and go for a walk together. They can get on a double-decker bus and drive around town afterwards. If you invite the entire congregation to something that seems fun, then they'll think about coming along. And organized is important. It takes, behind the scenes, a lot of work to organize so that the outing is seamless. When devotees go out, they shouldn't be concerned about where they're going to go and what might happen when they get there. They don't have to worry about books and so forth. And we'll find that even this morning that the devotees who are organizing this outing are considering all these things, because it's raining, we're going to go to the streets, now we're going to go to some door-to-door places. And as we speak, they're back here considering where to go. This is part of the organization. Behind the scenes, the leaders of a Sankirtan party have to think about these things. When I went to Chicago several years ago, we had 91 devotees that went on the MSF. It was the first one we had there. And it took us 2 months to organize that ahead of time. Back and forth on the phone. Finally, we ended up with a plan to get us a school bus that everyone could fit into. And ahead of the school bus, there was a van filled with books that went to the various parts of the city where we had received permits. And the van went and set up tables and a little area for Harinam. And then the bus picked up everybody at the temple. Everyone had a number, and they knew which stop to get off at. And it dropped them all off at their stop, so they could get down and then just walk right into the book distribution and Harinam. At the end of the day, the bus came around, picked everybody up, and brought them back to the temple. Prasadam was ready. That takes a lot of organization. So when you organize a monthly Sankirtan festival, you'll find that there are jobs for everyone. And if I'm elected, I guarantee jobs, jobs, jobs for the whole economy. There's plenty of engagement for everybody in Sankirtan. When you hold a Sankirtan festival, it's a very consuming activity. So we see that there are services on the front lines, devotees who want to go out and do book distribution, Harinam, devotees who would like to do backup services, and there are plenty of those, like cooking and organizing, driving devotees. And then there are ways in which, if you can't do that, you can donate money, and that helps to sponsor the books. And if you can't do that, we suggest that you be an advocate, that you encourage the devotees who are going out. And we consider all these services equal, and we consider that there's one team, everyone working together, all for one and one for all. And in the matter of reporting scores and so forth, for the monthly Sankirtan festival, we consider one team score. Everyone notices who's doing well, who's not. Competition may naturally arise, but we don't spur competition for the sake of trying to get people to do more. It's more of a cooperative effort, everyone together. And this makes it appealing to everybody, because sometimes those who may not feel that they're expert at distributing books, and that just takes a little practice to develop some expertise, may not want to go out when there's a sense of intense competition, because they'll feel like, well, I can't perform very well. But we make it an even playing field so everyone can go out and do their level best or do nothing at all. Just come along and assist or watch. Everyone's welcome. And so organizing this, there are various aspects for organizing a monthly Sankirtan festival. We'll talk about it in a few minutes. But it should be organized. And what is the fourth law of book distribution, by the way? There's a little card we gave out yesterday. If you forgot, you can pull out your card and look at it, because I'm going to ask you. What's number 4? Many of you have already completed calculus in school and things like that. So these questions are going to be pretty easy. The fourth law of book distribution is? You must organize. Yes, you have to organize, because you can do a little bit of Sankirtan here and there. Your community can do a little bit. But if you actually want to expand and you want to catch Lord Chaitanya's attention and you want to build a book distribution juggernaut or empire, you have to organize. And if you organize a little bit at a time, you'll notice that you can grow. And Prabhupada writes in the Adi Leela of the Chaitanya Charitamrita that the only business of the members of the Krishna consciousness movement is to continually expand the preaching of Krishna consciousness all over the world. So this is parallel with our mission and purpose. What else is on here? It involves everyone. We've even had dogs come out with us on Sankirtan. One of the devotees in Silicon Valley has a dog as a disciple, an actual dog, a canine. And the dog, actually this dog passed away and probably took birth again in the Krishna conscious movement somewhere. But her name was Yogi, and the devotee made a backpack for her. Yogi liked to be with the devotees, and the backpack would hold books that you could see. They were like displayed, so she'd walk the dog around, and in the park people come over. It was a beautiful dog. People would say, where'd you get the dog? Beautiful dog. And by the way, what are those books? Or they'd say, what's the dog's name? She said, Yogi. What are those books? It's about yoga. And they were, oh, that is just amazing. I'll take one. And Yogi, we put her name along with all the Sankirtan devotees. So when we say everyone, we mean everyone. Dogs can participate in this. And if a dog can go on Sankirtan, I mean, come on. So when we go out to share Krishna's mercy, now that's a lot of fun. So simple MSF is to have a morning program together. Some devotees can come a little later, but you have a breakfast, a little training. It's good to have some training when people from the congregation come. If you teach them, give them a template. Here's how you might present a book, and they feel a little confident. They say, oh, now I know what I could say. Then they'll feel enlivened to go out with the party. Because oftentimes, if people come and you tell them the philosophy of book distribution, say, yes, yes, very good, and you say, now we're going to go out together, they go, I think my mom's calling me. I think she needs a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'm going to go home and make it for her now. And, you know, I'll think about it later. And then they don't get swept away out the door. But if you train people, they get a little bit of momentum because they understand, oh, I think I could do this. One of the reasons people don't do things is because they're uncertain about the outcome. But if you make the outcome more certain by giving them a scenario of how it's going to go. For instance, today, we're not going out to distribute books. We're just going out to touch the pavement. And there's nothing expected of anybody except the activity of going out the door. How's that sound? Sounds easy, right? Doesn't it? Yeah. Slightly easy. I mean, and then we're also going to, after we touch the pavement, everything else is extra. And if you feel like trying out the template, I'm going to teach you a template today that guarantees that you'll be able to sell a Bhagavad Gita to anyone, anywhere, at any time. I guarantee that. Or your money back from this seminar. Okay, so then we go out. This is called Street Sankirtan. It means going out in various places, and you can innovate in the places where you take devotees. We go out for a few hours, nothing too hard, just fun. And then everyone gets together for lunch, nice lunch when they come back, and you all sit together and you talk. That's one of the most revealing parts of the process. When the devotees come back, we have many devotees, they go out for the first time and they'll say, I can't believe it, this was the best experience of my life. And they feel, they're overflowing with natural enthusiasm, and everyone can feel it and everyone sees it. And everyone in the temple who listens in on this also picks up on the vibration. You know what we used to do in Silicon Valley? For about 3 years, we had a program at the Sunday program where people would come to the Sunday program, and then the first half of the lecture would be about the importance of distributing Krishna consciousness. And we had cars waiting in the parking lot. Were you there for that era? No, Hari Prabhu? And there would be devotees waiting outside with a clipboard. So we'd tell everybody in the audience that, okay, now you have a chance, you'd like to go out and see what it's like to distribute Krishna consciousness. You can walk out the door, and there's a car waiting for you, and they'll take you to a spot where you can distribute. And so they'd walk out the door, there's a devotee with a clipboard, take down their name, assign them to a car, they'd whisk them off to a place, and they'd distribute books for an hour, and then come back, and they make it just in time for the Nrsimha prayers, and then prasadam and everything like that. And then during announcements, we'd pass the microphone around, and we'd ask people, so how'd you like it? And people were effusive. This was amazing, I can't believe it, I feel so happy, alive. And there was even one man who came he said, my friend told me I had to come along with him. I was just bored. I only came here as my first time. I'm an atheist. So, but I went out there and I sold a Bhagavad Gita. The dogs and atheists are selling Bhagavad Gitas. I mean, come on. So the point was that you want to bring that vibration back to the temple. It's like breathing. A temple community is a living organism. It has to breathe. So when you exhale, you take out carbon dioxide, if I'm not incorrect. And then when you inhale, you take in nice, rich oxygen. So in the same way, when devotees go out the door, it's an exhale. You take out all your cares and troubles, and you adopt some new cares and troubles, and that is, how am I going to distribute this book? Those surpass the minuscule problems that one might have inside the temple, the mental labyrinth that one is dealing with. And then, when you have these experiences of meeting people and heart-to-heart connections with people, that's the oxygen. So when the devotees come back in, it's the inhale. You're bringing nice, rich oxygen back into the community. And everyone can feel it. From top to bottom, everyone feels in the temple. If your temple community doesn't breathe, or it's not breathing sufficiently, it gets oxygen deprived. And what you find is lackluster performance in the temple, and people feel a little bit stifled. So Sankirtan is life. Everyone say. Correct, that is true. Sankirtan is life. So this is an easy schedule, isn't it? Takes a little organization to put together, but do you find this easy, simple? Yes? Say yes. Yes. Thank you. Okay. Here's a recipe. My friend Willie Jolly used to say, there's a recipe for everything. It's like his Aunt May used to make beautiful cakes and pies. So there's a recipe. You can do that. You can make it from the recipe. The same pies Aunt May made for my friend Willie Jolly. And so there's a recipe for the MSF also. First, make it fun. Emphasize teamwork. Create fresh challenges. And this is something that Prabhupada talked about as a necessity for communities to grow and be happy. He told one of his great leaders and managers that you should create an environment in which everyone does service which is Individual, spontaneous, and voluntary. Okay, repeat it with, I'll say proofs. Individual, spontaneous, and voluntary. Individual, spontaneous, voluntary. That's ISV. ISV stands for individual, spontaneous, and voluntary. So it's an ISV spirit. So this, he said, is the foundation for our communities. And then he said, you should also create a fresh challenge so that the devotees will want to rise up and meet it. And in book distribution, there's always a fresh challenge to rise up and meet. So there's always that positive tension to try to reach the next goal. Now the next one is, a principle is to encourage the heck out of everybody. Do you know how to do that? You know how to encourage the heck out of everybody? Huh? Well, let's try it. Let's try it. I want you to turn to somebody right now and encourage the heck out of them. Okay, 1, 2, 3, go. Encourage. Turn to somebody and encourage the heck out of them. Find somebody. Everybody find somebody. Get up from your chair, wherever you are. You got to go over. Come on. Get up. Move. Go talk to somebody. Find somebody. Encourage them. Don't just encourage the heck out of them. Dharma Prana, you are amazing. You are amazing.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Watching you makes me want to actually become steady in devotional service.
That's right.
Hare Krishna. All right, stop encouraging. Doesn't that feel terrible?
Yeah, no.
Don't you hate that when people do that to you? When they come up and encourage you? Actually, because we're a volunteer organization, it's built on encouragement. The word courage comes from cor, it means what's in your heart. It's a French word. And encourage means to give people impetus, strength to go on in life, because we're assailed from every direction by discouraging circumstances, by discouraging words, discouraging scenes, and everybody needs to be encouraged. And if you take a little time to encourage people on your team, in your temple, stop by, lean in the door. One word when you lean in the doorway and say, you know, you're really doing some nice service. If you just take 2 seconds, that can stick with somebody forever. And the same thing, sometimes people say discouraging words to somebody, and that can stay with a person for their whole life. And with delimiting feelings, they'll feel like, oh, I can't do it. Why? Because somebody said that to me. Because as we heard last night, living entities are impressionable. They're open to suggestion. So those who are on the lowest level of consciousness, they judge people by their past. They say that they did that in the past, therefore that they must be like this now. Actually, it's a fallacy in logic, because Prabhupada gives this example that the mother, when she's a baby, she runs around naked in the village. And later on she becomes a mother, then that somebody says, well, she should still be without clothes now. So similarly, people change, they grow. So they say, oh, they were like that before. So this is the lowest kind of consciousness. You say they should still be categorized like they were before. But then a higher class person considers that, all right, past is the past, but they are what they are now. So I consider them according to their present situation. But the highest consciousness is to consider people according to their future, their potential. And this is what Prabhupada did when he came. He saw everyone and he said, yes, you can do this. He told people who had no experience to fly off into another country and start a movement. And they believed him because he knew it was possible, because he was able to see their potential as living entities and also as those living entities came and aligned themselves with Lord Chaitanya's movement, he knew that Lord Chaitanya would empower them. So we should see it in the same way, that everyone who's sincere can become empowered to spread Krishna consciousness. So it's not artificial, this encouragement. It's born from spiritual vision. So take time to encourage the heck out of everyone, and if you don't do anything else, that will increase your community's enthusiasm and ability to succeed. Just this raw encouragement. And empower people. This means look for talent on your team. As you're building a Sankirtan team, you'll notice when you start hearing and chanting together, singing these bhajans, chanting Hare Krishna together, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, and then talking about how to organize the Sankirtan movement, you'll notice some people are sitting up close. They're leaning in. They may be even new people that just came in recently to Krishna consciousness, but they're interested. They like this stuff. And when you see that, you'll notice they'll raise their hand. Oh yeah, I know about this. I know how to make a spreadsheet. It's like, okay, you're the new head of spreadsheet. You're the czar of spreadsheets here now. Sign them up. Get them empowered. Give them some job to do, because there are unlimited categories of jobs that you can do in an expanding Sankirtan movement. And when you empower people and you give them an opportunity to be part of it, then they will flourish. They'll come up to a higher standard. Bureaucracy means, Prabhupada said, to say no. They're professional no-sayers. Everyone comes and goes, no, that can't be done. No, that can't be done. No, 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 no. But Sankirtan and the expansion of the preaching means to say yes. And one of Prabhupada's mantras was, do it. You'll hear this, oftentimes people brought Prabhupada these propositions. Prabhupada, I have this idea to preach on the university campus. We're going to start a class. What did Prabhupada say? Do it. Yes. Get into the do-it mood. Empower people. See the spark in there and empower them to step up to another level. That's how you expand the Sankirtan movement. So here are a few ingredients. When you're starting your own MSF, you get together with whomever, maybe one person, maybe it's an MSF from your family. We have people who started monthly Sankirtan festivals. They have a little family unit. They live out in the middle of nowhere. Or they just have a couple of friends and they get together. Or it's a temple community. They get together and just talk about the mission and vision. Like, why are we doing this? That's the most important question. Like, why do we want to do this? And write it down. This is our mission. And when you have that strong purpose in mind, then you can grow. So one of the founders of the Apple Corporation, who's assisted many other startups around Silicon Valley and beyond that have become very successful, wrote a book called The Art of the Start. And he said, 3 steps. These are the 3 primary steps to get a corporation going. First is make meaning. That means to decide why you're doing it. What's your purpose behind this? Is it really important to you? Yes. Next is make mantra. Instead of a long, convoluted mission statement, he said, get a battle cry, something simple that you can remember. Ours at ISV is always better service. And third is get going. Just start. So make meaning, make mantra, get going. So making your mission and vision can start with a very simple thing. Just writing down your purpose. What's your sankalpa? What's your vow? We're going to start this in MSF. And make your mantra. Yes, we are serving all living entities by widely spreading the holy names. And next is start seeing who you have on your team. There's personnel, people working together who can be assigned various tasks to help move the monthly Sankirtan festival forward. Sankirtan spots is a perennial service, finding them. That is, around any area, there's lots of places where you can send devotees to do Sankirtan. But you have to go investigate. For the longest time, we didn't know that we could get permits for certain places, but we went and investigated. For instance, at Walmart, one devotee who was searching around went and read their bylaws, and it turned out they allowed for people to distribute books in front of the Walmart. So for about 4 years, until they changed their bylaws in our area, we had tables set up on weekends almost around the clock, right outside the Walmart, and devotees distributed thousands of books there. That took one team going out and looking and see where the spots are. When I went to Alachua that year, Sam's Club, we didn't know also the grocery store was there. And I think Chaitanya Dasi or you went there and just asked them, hey, can we distribute books out in front? No one had really asked them before, as far as I remember, and they said, yeah, okay, you can put it right over here and this and that. And you don't know till you ask, and you go and find out these things. Go and investigate and see what you can do. You'd be really surprised. And once you have a Sankirtan spot, then you have a really important part of the puzzle figured out. And you also have to keep looking, because things change. You can't take for granted that you'll have any one Sankirtan spot forever, because the world always changes. People liquidate companies, or they change the laws of the civic laws and so forth like that. So you always have to be looking for new places, new spots. Another is infrastructure. Get your get all the things that you need together for your Sankirtan festival. For instance, we've been to some places where there was no book room or insufficient book room. And we had to proposition the temple management for a book room. And finally, we got that. We had our infrastructure ready. We had vehicles, things like that. Gradually, one step by step, find out what you need and get the infrastructure. Don't hold back. Don't be penny wise, pound foolish. That is, you need things in order to expand any company or organization. Make sure you have them. Get what you need. And if you don't have the resources for them yet, at least make a list of the things that you're going to need, and then start with what you can get. When we started in Silicon Valley, we had so little money and so little resources when we started our Sankirtan program. I remember that it was a big deal to get a couple tables. We had to ask the congregation, a few people pitched in. It's like, wow, we got some tables. Because we couldn't take from the temple at the time. They didn't have enough money to pay the rent practically. And so we had to bootstrap our way up. And then gradually, one thing after another. Last year, the ISV Sankirtan team gave $420,000 to the BBT. And that started with, like, it was a stretch for us to buy, $60 worth of tables to start. And now we're giving $420,000 a year. And it'll go up from there. But how did that happen? We looked at what was in front of us at the time, and we saw how to expand, how to do a little bit more. You have to fill in the blanks. You have to find out, every time we do a monthly Sankirtan festival or any event, one of the most important things that you can do is to write down all the things that went wrong. Make a list. Because it's in fixing all the things where you had shortcomings that you grow the next time. And if you make it a rule that you fix at least 3 things a month, in a year, you're going to have a significantly better program. And people will notice it. In fact, as far as building teams goes, there's a template from business management, and that is that if your team members feel that you're going downhill, that is, things are getting worse, they're falling apart, then they quit. If they feel like things are staying about the same, then they do just what they have to. And if they feel like things are always getting better, then they do more than they have to. You create an environment of positive change and improvement. And you have to be specific in identifying places where there's room for improvement. It doesn't matter how small they are. Even the smallest little improvement will add up. Smallest improvements will add up over time, and you'll notice, and everyone else will feel that things are getting better. So mind your infrastructure and systems. Find systems. When you, for instance, I've been fortunate to be able to go down and assist my wife Nirakula, who has been cooking the feast for the Ratha Yatra in Los Angeles for 30 plus years. And then she gave me a little service in that to go down and cook for a couple of days. And we're cooking, how many pounds of pasta? Huh? 600 pounds of pasta. And so on one day, and then the next day we're making these chakras. So when I first started going down there to do that service, it used to take all day long. And gradually over the years we figured out various systems to cut down the time. Oh, that could save 1 minute. This could save 3 minutes. That could save half an hour. You know, gradually we kept notes. And now it takes maybe just a few hours. And in a similar way, we started a program at the Los Angeles Ratha Yatra to distribute thousands of books during the parade in little gift packs. And when we first started doing this, it used to take me about a week, and I'd have to have an assistant. I mean, I had to bring somebody in to assist me, and over a week we'd pack these books. We were doing about 15,000, sometimes 20,000 books during the parade. And it would take a week, maybe 5 days, to pack all the books. And now through developing systems and getting a lot of people each doing a little bit, all the 20,000 books can be packed within a few hours. In fact, I was surprised the last time. We have a whole busload of devotees come down from ISV. They've got it down to a system from studying how to do it. Again and again, they're looking at it. And I was in the kitchen cooking. I came out to check on the books, and they were already done. And I could see that this, through observing how we're doing now, what can be fixed, what can be made a little bit better, and then you can do astounding things. How do you think people get from a dusty garage like the Hewlett and Packard, or Stephen Wozniak and Steve Jobs in a dusty little garage, to a huge corporation, except by incremental improvements? Everything, even your health, takes incremental improvements. You start with walking around the block once a day. Where else are you going to start? You have to start somewhere. So in building a book distribution team, you have to start with what you can improve now. And just do what you can in front of you. And paraphernalia, buy the best stuff. A Sankirtan, when you buy good things, they'll last for a long time and they won't break in the middle of doing your service and so forth. Invest. Buy the best kind of paraphernalia that you can find. So in personnel, these are just some suggestions, but you can find divisions where people can specialize in your team for your MSF. Like a Sankirtan leader is very important. We have co-Sankirtan leaders at our temple. Malini Devi Dasi and Sri Krishna Purushottam have been the co-Sankirtan leaders there, and they share the responsibilities, because there's a lot of responsibility in it. Or even if you just have a single Sankirtan leader, you need somebody who's concerned about moving the agenda and keeping the goal, keeping everybody on track towards the goals. You need team leaders. Like here in Toronto, the devotees have divided the whole metropolitan area of Toronto into different segments, and there are team leaders for each one of those segments. This is a very empowering thing, and it's very effective. Team members. Who's a team member? Do the quiz. There's a quiz. Thank you, everybody. That's correct. And then a fulfillment director is important. A fulfillment director is somebody who makes sure that you've got inventory. You're getting the books that you need when you need them. That means somebody who knows how to talk to the BBT. They know what the phone number is, when to call them, how the books are delivered, what's the cheapest way to get them delivered. You could actually increase your book distribution by saving money and finding out ways to get cheaper shipping. Like in Los Angeles, Vaisesika Prabhu has gone out of his way to go down and help with the shipping process to save money for several temples, including Laguna Beach and ISV. And because of that, we've distributed significantly more books, thousands more, by saving money. So if you have somebody, a fulfillment director, someone who looks into that and concentrates on that, how to get the books delivered cheaper, faster, how to store them in a nice way, and so forth, these kinds of things. And the fulfillment director also reports the scores to the Sankirtan newsletter, or he or she can. It's up to you how you want to align these different services. Accountant, it's really important to have good accounting. Don't misplace any of the Lakshmi. Lakshmi should all be taken care of meticulously. Every penny should be carefully collected, because people are giving this money. They're not even sure where it's going. But when we take that on behalf of Krishna and we use it dutifully, properly, then they get such credit. It's amazing how much credit they get by giving to Krishna. And we have to be careful about putting it in the right place and making sure that it's protected, the Lakshmi is protected. If you take care of Lakshmi very carefully, then she'll come around more. And if you're neglectful then and waste Lakshmi or misspend it and so forth, then you may not get more. You may not increase. And accounting is important to somebody who's watching the accounts and making sure that you're doing all right, everything's balancing out, is very inspiring to the overall team. Communications director, there's lots of ways in which the monthly Sankirtan festival needs to be communicated. For instance, within your community, the more you communicate to the community in innovative ways, the more they'll be intrigued by the prospect of going out themselves. For instance, one of the things we do at ISV, and I'm not saying you have to do this, I'm just suggesting it as one of the ways we've innovated, is for every MSF, we started off, we'd have a poster, a unique a poster made by one of our devotees who's an artist, a graphic artist. So everyone would always wait for the monthly Sankirtan festival poster, because it was a unique thing. And then we kept making it bigger and bigger, and now it's a huge vinyl poster, and it's expensive. And I want it to be expensive, because I want the devotees to feel, that's an expensive poster, we better go out on Sankirtan to justify having such a huge poster on our wall to announce one monthly Sankirtan festival. Every monthly Sankirtan festival has a unique name. Their monthly Sankirtan festival of steady improvements, that's the one we've done, where we combine that with all the devotees in the community come together for the monthly Sankirtan festival of steady improvements, and we make a list of all the improvements that we can make that month in the temple. And we not only go out on book distribution Sankirtan, but we work together to make these improvements in the temple. That, by the way, is a good strategy for helping to connect the two inevitable halves of the temple. One is the temple management, who's concerned with fixing the roof, and the other, the devotees who are hard charging and just want to go out and preach. And to bring those two entities together, the leaders of a monthly Sankirtan festival can be thoughtful and think of ways in which they can also integrate with the purposes of the temple management to make sure that they're feeling a part of the monthly Sankirtan festival as well. We also have the monthly Sankirtan festival of loving exchanges. Oh, and by the way, just going back to the steady improvements, we also, on that time leading up to that MSF, we have devotees write down ways in which they can improve their own sadhana. It's part and parcel with the outreach, with going out, is the inreach, how to improve everything. So many improvements, and thinking about improvements is an exciting project prospect for human beings because we like challenges, we like to make improvements because we can. And loving exchanges, we emphasize the verse in the Nectar of Instruction about the 6 loving exchanges, and we emphasize that during the monthly Sankirtan festival, that amongst the devotees we're giving gifts. We're taking time. I was telling Gora last night, one of the ways we do on monthly Sankirtan festivals is we have a time when everyone calls somebody they haven't seen for a long time at the temple. And there are a lot of those. Like, devotees can slip away, and 2 years later we notice, hey, where's such and such? I don't know, I haven't seen him for 2 years. It's like, has anybody talked to him? No. So take time on monthly Sankirtan festival and making an organized attempt to reach out. We've had great success doing that. So you can combine the monthly Sankirtan festival with many different objectives that makes it fun and innovative. And the communication director can help with that and innovate ways to advertise what's going on. There's ways in which we communicate with the people that we meet when we go on Sankirtan. That requires a lifetime of investing one's energy. I mean, there's unlimited ways in which you can expand communications to the people, making connections to the people we meet. It's not been done very holistically over the years. We've inoculated people, given them a book, see you, bye. And then when do we see them again? But completing the circle, as here in Toronto, the devotees are now working on this Sankirtan Connect, where they can complete the circle, so they feel very confident that when they meet people, they can connect with them, and they have some place for them to go. And when the devotees who are going out are aware that there's a comprehensive way in which to take care of new people, then they're very enthusiastic about bringing them back. And unfortunately, the converse is true also. If you have a sense that people aren't going to be taken care of very well by bringing them back, you just don't bring them. In fact, I've even seen on traveling Sankirtan people near a temple where they know people are going to have a bad experience, and people that they meet on the street will say, "Do you have a temple around here?" And goes, "Nah, I don't think so." It's that bad. If you have good follow-through, then you're much more enthusiastic on the front end when you meet people. That's a little bit mission creep away from the communications director, perhaps, but it all goes into this idea of having people focus on particular aspects that they can specialize in the MSF and really expand. And Prasadam production team is a perennial favorite because an army runs on its stomach, absolutely. And if you have unforgettable prasadam available for the devotees who are coming to your MSF, and when they go out, it's so nice if you can facilitate devotees to take prasadam out with them if they're going for long periods of time, a bag lunch, a box lunch, innovative things. It's so nice when you're on Sankirtan, after 2-3 hours you can sit down together on a grassy knoll somewhere, hopefully not in Texas, but anywhere else, and you can have prasadam together. And there you take prasadam and you feel enlivened again, and you think of the devotees back at the temple team who are caring for you by making prasadam. And there's this feeling that everyone's working together because you're getting nice prasadam. So prasadam production team is important, like as a central part. So there are other categories, but I gave these as some suggestions in the way that you can develop your team. And paraphernalia, stamps, labels. It's a good idea to stamp and label your books with your individual temple address. And mantra cards are very much necessary when you're out meeting people, to give them a card. Contact cards so they can write their names and addresses and their emails and so forth, or you can take it electronically. Absolutely, you have to have a credit card machine when you go out. Every party that's going around should be able to take credit cards, so you have to take time to set that up. Otherwise, you're going to miss maybe 60% of your donations if you just only take cash. And it's a travesty, actually, to miss anything. If you find a way in which people wanted to give to you, and then you say, "Oh, I can't do that." Why? Why can't you do that? Of course you can do it. Fix it. Make it better. Make it so that you can take it. And photo ID badges. In many places, this is very helpful and effective. If you're taking out kirtan parties, make sure you have the instruments. These, again, are just samples, but you can start to see the development of a monthly Sankirtan festival and the ways in which you'll find categories of services to engage devotees who have propensities in that way. And in this way, you have a well-oiled machine when it comes time for the monthly Sankirtan festival. And by the way, the monthly Sankirtan festival never goes out of the consciousness of the community, because when you have one point in time that you're working towards to get everybody out the door, it's like trying to put a man on the moon. Now NASA, who work on things like this, actually attains most of its benefits when they're working towards that point when they're going to shoot a rocket off into space. The rocket going off is not a big deal, but actually the innovations they make to have it go off are the part that really is interesting. They find so many, they discover so many new technologies, actually modern management systems now that are taught in top flight universities for how to manage all kinds of situations in corporations came from NASA because of the intense pressure they had to shoot a rocket off. And during that time, they thought, well, how do we organize things better? So you, in the process of working towards a monthly Sankirtan festival, your entire community of devotees will improve, and they'll find new systems and economies for making the Sankirtan movement efficient. So here's the art of the start. Decide you're going to have a monthly Sankirtan festival, set your goals, and start. And a simple way, I mean, one thing I remember in Washington, D.C., when we were first starting the MSF there, we got together with the temple president and some of the board members and the Sankirtan devotees, and we met in a trailer on in the parking lot, a big trailer they have there parked. And we put up a huge whiteboard, and we brainstormed for about an hour and a half. And I just asked everybody, put out all your ideas for how you could expand book distribution in the community. And in these brainstorming sessions, don't judge anybody's or your own suggestion. Just let it come out and write it down on the board. No matter how, somebody might say, oh, that had never happened. Don't say that. It could happen. It will happen. Because it's a seed. You can put it on the board. Just write them all down. We came up with about 103, or precisely 103 suggestions from the assembled devotees. Then we started going through and prioritizing them. And we identified 7 that we found to be extremely important. And then we focused on those 7. And the devotees in Washington, D.C., from that time, where they were submitting about $5,000 a year to the BBT, then the next year started giving about $40,000, and then $50,000, $60,000, and it increased from there, just from that one little brainstorming session. And in those times when you bring the decision makers together and you set goals for a monthly Sankirtan, for your overall production of book distribution in your temple community, and you ratify those goals. And I'll give you an example. In Laguna Beach, California, we had a meeting for the weekend we were there for their first MSF, and Tukaram Prabhu, the inimitable Tukaram Prabhu, temple president, and his board came together, headed by Rupanuga Prabhu, the great Mahatma who lives down there. He's an expert in management and Vedavit. I mean, there are such great souls there. They came together. We had a 2-hour meeting after the Sunday program. And we just brainstormed and talked. And at the time, their only goal for the year was about $400 worth of books a year. And I looked at this august assembly and I said, you're good for easily $7,500 a year with just making a couple of little adjustments. You could easily do $7,500. I mean, that's a big increase from $400 to $7,500, don't you think? Yes. Thanks, Nicholas, helping out. You said yes, right? And as it turned out, the devotees did 15,000. And we had started in the summer. It wasn't even a complete year, but they did 15,000 that year. And that's because they came together and they decided. And that's one of the most important things. Some temple communities never decide they're going to do book distribution. It's just an idea floating around. And until you actually come together with your temple president, GBC, and temple board and decide we're going to do this, you're not even in the game. It doesn't even count. Nothing will happen, practically. And your Sankirtan devotees will feel stifled as well, because they'll feel like they're not getting support from the top. You have to be supported from the top. In fact, Prabhupada recommended once, when he saw that some GBC's temple presidents were living up to their obligations in paying their debts to the BBT, said they should be replaced. That's a pretty radical statement. But that shows, I only bring that up to show that Prabhupada emphasized certain things and expected certain kinds of standards from leaders. So the leaders in the temple, they should take this and other primary programs very seriously and have a plan for it. And that means to come together and decide. So deciding that you're going to do it, to do anything, is a big deal in life. Because once you decide, that's it. And then you can start setting goals. And that makes your life exciting. Without goals, your life is pretty much, well, I was going to say wasted time, but I'm getting too heavy this morning. I'll just say it becomes aimless and unproductive. We're not as productive as it could be. So when you set goals, and setting goals, it starts off in a fairly simple way. As Jim Rohn used to say, for setting goals, here's simplest of all formulas. Are you ready? I'm not convinced at all if you're ready. Yes. Okay, he said, decide what you want and write it down. What is it? Decide what you want and write it down. It's a big deal because, first of all, people don't know what they want. If we put a desire tree in here, over in the corner, we asked each person to go and sit under it for 5 minutes. Because see, desire tree will fulfill any desire you have. You can just sit under a desire tree. What do you want? It's like, geez, I don't know. I hadn't thought about it lately. You better know what you want if you want to go somewhere. Krishna says, Yanti deva vata devam pitrin yanti pratirvata bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti mam yajino pima. He says, whatever you're after, you're going to get that. So you better know where you're going. And if you're going to run an organization in a community, you better decide what you want. And so once you decide what you want and you write it down, there's something visceral about writing down. The big pen companies now on a campaign to tell people you should write things down by hand. I mean, they have a vested interest, but they're trying to prove through scientific experiments that there's actually a hand-brain connection. When you write things down, it sends a signal to your whole body and mind that something's happening here. So when you write down your goals, your life starts to change in significant ways, because the human brain is like a heat-seeking missile. Heat-seeking missiles go after heat, and the human brain goes after goals. And if you don't have a goal, it'll just bounce off the walls. So get a clear goal, and if you have a clear goal for your MSF and for your book distribution, then you start developing positive tension in your organization, and that's something that equals growth. And then next one sounds obvious, but it's the most profound of all, and that is to start. Because I can have goals and so forth, but then I might put it off because I think that I'm not quite ready yet. Doesn't matter. Start and fix it later. Once you start something and you get things moving, like there's an old saying that possession is 9/10 of the law. Have you ever heard that? Yeah, possession is 9/10 of the law. It means someone may say, well, I own that, that's mine. It's like, that's all right because I have it right now. So in the same way, if you just start, someone say, well, you can't do it, it's impossible. It's like, I'm already doing it. It's just, I'm doing it. And with Sankirtan, if you just do it, if you start doing it, and you move in the right direction, then Krishna will help you. In fact, when our team went to Prabhupada in 1975, because we had a team of devotees that was delegated to go out and train others how to distribute books in various places. And so there was some questions we had to Prabhupada, and there were various opinions about how to present. One of the things Prabhupada told our team was that teach devotees to be sincere and to go out and try. And he said if they're sincere and they try, and he pointed to his heart, and he said the master within the heart will show them how to do it. He'll teach them. And he said every devotee has their own genius. And if you're sincere and you try, then that genius will come out. We see it. It's one of the most beautiful aspects of organizing a Sankirtan party and involving everybody is you see the genius come out. One of the most successful aspects of our overall Sankirtan team in this kind of Silicon Valley is our kids. We have kids teams. All the kids go out on Sankirtan because they like it, they want to. And when do they start? The leader of our kids team, Kameshwari, explained this 2 years ago during an SOS. Somebody said, how young do the kids start there? And she said, you know, when they're in that, and they said, baby carriage? Yeah, baby carriage. And then she goes, oh, actually before that. Before that, it's like, yeah, when they're in the womb. So they start, they hear the vibration of Sankirtan, and they're in the baby carriage. And they get, kids, when they go on Sankirtan, learn something that most other kids don't ever learn, and that is how to communicate with all kinds of people. They learn something else that most people in the world never learn, and that is how to face rejection. I mean, Kameshwari, it's heart-rending to hear her and the other team leaders of the kids' party talk about taking the kids on Sankirtan. She was saying that after they go door to door with the kids, some of the first times they went out when people reject them out of hand and say, you know, just not interested, go away, they would sit down with the kids and they have a discussion about it. So what just happened there, and what does it mean to you, and why did it happen? And when kids learn these kinds of things early, they get what I like to call street smarts. Not only that, they also start to actually develop compassion themselves. They see it for themselves because Sankirtan is real. It's actually Lord Chaitanya's internal energy. And when you go out and participate in it, you get something that nobody else gets, and that is a taste of that internal energy. And kids get it too, because kids are also living entities. And when they go out and they learn it from an early time, they get all this realization, and not only that, they're involved in this whole mechanism, and they start to develop leadership qualities. Forget about sending MBA. MBA is fine, but this is practical. They can get an MBA too. They can also become doctors. But I know a lot of very dysfunctional MBA diploma holders and lawyers that don't know how to do things, and geniuses who've got all kinds of degrees that don't know how to communicate. But when you train children in the Sankirtan movement and all these kinds of techniques, you'll find that they become well-rounded. Okay. So touching the pavement means keeping the, are we going to 9 or 9:30? Oh. No, we're doing it after. Okay, so I got 3 more minutes. Reprise. Okay, so touching the pavement, this whole principle that I'm talking about means keeping the bar low. Don't actually keep the bar, the expectation, I'm saying, of when you're starting your MSF at your temple, keep the expectation so low that people laugh at it and they say, oh, that's too easy. That's where you want them to be. And I've been at temples where I noticed, although people came and they were getting trained up, they were thinking like, do I have to actually go out? And I kept telling them, we're not distributing books. We're not going out to distribute books. That's not why we're here. We're going out just to see if we can walk out the door. Let's see if we can do that first. And let's see if we can walk out the door and actually make it to our spot. Because that's the hardest part of Sankirtan is troop movement. It's actually moving bodies from one place to another. That's why the material world is called Durga. Durgachati means difficult to go. It's hard to move around this terra firma. It's very difficult to get from one place to another. What to speak of moving 3 people, 5 people, 30 people, 90 people, 120 people from here to where they're supposed to go. Whose car do you go in? Who pays for the insurance in the car when the door gets torn off? That happened one of our... That was Vaisesika. He proved that he was a sadhu. His door got ripped off the side, and when he opened the door, that was after the Sankirtan, we were at a picnic, and somebody came around the corner, tore his door off, and he was completely equipoised. He's such a saint. He just dealt with it, and he didn't get upset or anything else. Like, Vaisesika, your door just got torn off. Okay, we'll deal with it. It's no problem. You start to see these great souls in action. It was pretty amazing. So how do you move people from one place to another? Well, it takes a lot of planning and organizing. But if you keep the expectation really low as far as results go, then devotees will overachieve. They have to, because the bar is so low. And they'll feel good about themselves. And reward everything. Everything counts. Everybody is in. And it doesn't matter if you're doing backup service. It doesn't matter if you're not doing backup service, but you're just an advocate and you're saying good work. Everybody should be included in the team and seen as being helpful and productive and so on. And if you create the team environment, then you will flourish as a Sankirtan, as a monthly Sankirtan. We have various mantras, and we can say them together. I'll say, you say. Book distribution is high sadhana. I talked about that last night. This is the starting point. We're not doing it for results. We're doing it because it's the right thing to do. And when you do this, you're going to get an affinity for hearing and chanting. So it's a good idea. And it's high sadhana just to go out the door and try. Second mantra, always better service. You have to have eyes to spot where you can make improvements. Make a list of those and then make improvements. And then your life will get better, your team will get better. Next is a lot doing a little. So this is a more stable model than a few people doing a lot, because everyone always moves on for one reason or another. And if you instill in your entire community the values of book distribution, and everyone does their level best, what they can do, and everyone contributes a little bit, you get a huge result, and you also have a stable model that will last for years and years and years. And the last is fun and easy. Make it fun and easy. And then, because living entities just want to have fun. They're Nandamaya Vyasat. And book distribution is fun and easy. Everyone say that. Now go back and teach that to everyone in your congregation. Say, oh, book distribution, this, that. And you say, repeat after me. Book distribution is fun and easy. Didn't your blood pressure just go down and you feel better about life and yourself when you say that? Yes, absolutely. So here's the fun. We get out there, and it's when we were out there on the street corner, this is in Toronto, I remember one day we were having a Harinam, there was a book table, we were distributing prasadam, and I was watching, I was distributing, and I was across the street watching, and this one lady came, I wish she was probably in her 20s, college student or something. She was so enamored of the whole thing, she jumped into the kirtan and she started dancing like this. She was going... I mean, she was so enthusiastic, and she was there for an hour and a half dancing like that. And when I went home, I was dancing like that too. It's like, I went back to ISP, here's a new dance. I just found it on Sankirtan. And the whole thing was so fun and charming. I mean, everyone's engaged. Life is absolutely boring without Sankirtan. You got to have Sankirtan, otherwise you'll think, oh, this is Krishna conscious like everything else. No, you have to go out and have fun. It's more fun than a barrel of monkeys. Well, these aren't monkeys, but... Anyway, teamwork is a big deal. You got to work together, and the teamwork is obvious. You feel it. The devotees feel empowered when they're working together. Start small and grow. That's Krishna's program. And then later on, I'm going to give you some tips and ideas to ponder. And then we're going to go through a training session of how to sell the Bhagavad Gita as it is. And right now, however, we're going to have prasadam. See how that works? That's the best part, I told you. Go Premanande, Nitai Goda Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura, Haribo, Nitai Gaura, Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura, Haribo. Vanchakalpatarusha kripasnabhevacha patitanam pavanibhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha.
अनंत कोटि वैष्णवेंद्र की, His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu की, Srila Prabhupada की.
Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, hey, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman.